All right. Mr. Harmonious Monday has a new Zoom avatar. Nice Reddit screenshot of all of his posts or something. Very cool. All right. We are live, we are recording, and we are officially started. Welcome, everybody, to the BeatCancer.Org Ask a Holistic Cancer Coach weekly call. The date is the 5th of June, and we are here today. Um, without a specific agenda, but as always, we're here to field topics of discussion and possible questions from our audience to see how we can best serve our community. We have at least one holistic cancer coach with us. Thank you for joining, Catherine. And Jim, Mr. Jim Webb, you're a coach as well. Is that correct? Did yourself and Kelly take the?
Yes, I am. Uh, yeah, it says Kelly, but I'm Jim. Yeah, I was certified back in 2019, but I kind of stepped away and now I'm circling back
Wonderful.
after I was busy dealing with my health issues.
Of course, of course. Well, we are glad to have you, as always. Once a beat cancer coach, always a beat cancer coach. So there's a lot of new updates, a lot of excitement. So it's a good time, as good a time as any to hop back into the swing of things. So welcome. It's good to have you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just a quick disclaimer to get that out of the way. Nothing that we say on these calls is intended to be taken as explicit medical advice. Always do your own due diligence, do your own due research, and make informed decisions regarding your health or the health of anyone that you are or may be advising. Um, that said, we are here to discuss topics of health and wellness, um, and we can briefly touch on personal scenarios, but for a more in-depth analysis of an individual's circumstances, please do follow up with one of the holistic cancer coaches that you see on the call, or one of the very many holistic cancer coaches that are not on the call. We have hundreds, of course, all over the world. Or, of course, you are always welcome to get in touch with our in-house naturopathic doctor on staff, Dr. Randy Shane. And you can, of course, email support@beatcancer.org for any questions on any of those things. As you may or may not have noticed, my co-host Carl will not be joining us tonight. He is busy with some family things, I think. So it is just myself. So, like always, if you see me looking around like a crazy person while I am here hosting, I'm also monitoring the live stream on all the different platforms, making sure that things are up and running, checking for questions on the social media channels that we are streaming on. As a reminder, we are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and one other one. Don't even remember at the moment, but not important. Um, for any of our friends that are watching on the social media platforms, if you have a question, you're welcome, or a comment, you're welcome to put them in the chat, and we will get to them as soon as we can. Again, this is meant to be a community call where we engage the audience, engage the participants, and get you your questions and topics answered. So with that, I will welcome our friends that are joining as I was doing that introduction there. Welcome in Jane, welcome in Annette, two more holistic cancer coaches, fantastic. Welcome Joyce B. Joyce B is a cancer coach in training, so fantastic to have her here as well. And with that, we will open up the mic for any topics of discussion that any participants would like to have covered. I saw Dave had something in the chat. So Dave, would you like to grab the mic and ask your question a little more fully so we can answer more specifically for you?
Sure. Hi, Zachariah, and welcome everybody. Hopefully, this will be a short one. I've been undergoing cancer treatment now for about 3 years, and I'm pretty pretty consistently falling away from the traditional stuff. I stopped taking my pills 3 days ago. That was because of Dr. Mark. I can't remember his last name from the whatever institute it was. He was on a couple weeks ago. He said that if you stop taking these hormone treatments, which is just taking pills to cut out the testosterone. He said it drives, intermittently instead of using them nonstop, that it drives cancer crazy. So I stopped taking my pills about 3 days ago, and I've done it before, twice. So I'm not taking any cancer care at all right now that's traditional, and I probably won't go back to it at all if I can help it. I bought a book that follows through with Maya's statement to me about various ways of determining whether we have cancer and what levels we're at, by blood tests and not PET scans. So that's kind of interesting. That should come here. This should arrive on my doorstep any day now. About $30. I'm really interested in looking at that. But okay, to get to higher the matter, my oncologist, he's kind of an interesting guy. He just periodically drops bombs on me or information that I feel I should have heard from day one. And one day, he just kind of off the cuff said that cancer doesn't like iron. I thought, well, okay, that's interesting. So I started bringing home some well water from the lake, which is loaded with iron. And I kind of started drinking that consistently. And I remember that was at the point in time where my cancer went away. But I've already mentioned before that I was doing so many things at once, I really couldn't put my finger on it. But for those of you that are new to me, etc., and vice versa, I have supposedly prostate cancer. I was diagnosed with stage 4B prostate cancer, and that's pretty bad. And I had 22 tumors, and of course, at that stage 4, they metastasized. They all went away. Some came back. But that statement he made intrigued me. And so I kind of researched iron, and it turned out that a lot of people did struggle with iron and cancer, but it was always people, number of studies, various studies, but they all had to do with people that did not metabolize iron properly. And I have not seen anything anywhere else that says iron is bad for cancer, but I will drink some iron water periodically just to make sure, or just to cover my bases. So my that's a long introduction. My short question is: does anybody happen to know if iron, if cancer doesn't like iron, or do they know anything about the subject of iron and cancer at all? I'm sure cancer cells need iron just like everything else. Sometimes I wonder if the healthier we eat, the more we aren't helping our cancer. I don't know. But iron is if anybody happens to know anything about iron and cancer, that would be cool. And if not, that's fine too.
Thank you very much for the question, Dave. Always a pleasure to have you. Always
Thank you.
love the way that your mind goes and your curiosity and all these things. But we will open the floor to some of our holistic cancer coaches. I do see a hand from Harmonious Monday as well. But we will field some of our coaches first and then head over to yourself, my friend. So I see a hand from our coach, Jane. Please go ahead, Jane.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh, wait, what happened? You got muted. Hold on, Jane. There you go. Try again.
Okay, thank you.
There
Well,
we go.
first of all, Dave, it's so good to see you, because to tell you the truth, from week to week, I wonder how you're doing. So that's great. I would suggest something to you, and this is not about iron specifically, but when you say, I stopped taking my pills, and you have concern about your doctor listening to you, and that's fine. And your choice is to go away from allopathic medicine, and that is fine too. However, whatever doctor you're working with, my suggestion to you is to always ask the advice of that doctor if you can do that. For instance, if you are taking something, now I know you said you stopped your chemo 3 days ago, right? But if you're taking any medication and then you want to take iron or stop taking iron, you have to know how that's going to relate to the other medicines that you're taking. So it's very important to discuss it with your doctor. And I will tell you, there are many doctors out there that will go the way you ask. And I'll give you an example. Today I went to a GI for myself, not cancer, but I've had some GI issues. For other patients, he would have prescribed Nexium. I said, I'm not going to take that. And he said, that's okay. And then he looked up a supplement for me to take instead. And he's a regular allopathic medicine doctor. But for you, I think we looked at before, but please correct me if I'm wrong, an integrative medicine oncologist in your area. Where do you live, Dave? Where do you live? Dave?
Oh, don't worry, Dave. You were
Okay.
muted for
All
a
right.
moment. There you go.
So Dave, this is my suggestion is you need to be under the care of someone. If you don't want to go allopathic, they're board certified MDs in integrative medicine oncology. And they are around so that you can freely talk to a physician about taking this supplement or that supplement and make sure it doesn't, have a problem with the combination of something else that you're taking in medicine.
Thank you very much for that addition, Jane. Of course, always good to understand a person's circumstances holistically and, the possible reactions, and interactions between anything that's going on in the body. Of course, pharmaceuticals being very reactive with all sorts of different things. If someone is taking any of them, it is certainly a good idea to understand what might be happening if you add something else into the mix. A lot of people, I don't know what the latest statistics are, but I think the average American is on what, like 10 different prescription things on a given day, and people are just walking around like some serious like mad science experiment concoctions going on in their body. You add one more thing, you never know when it's gonna pop. I mean, anyway,
And
point is,
to
be
add to
careful.
that, my integrative medicine physician and my husband Michael had an integrative medicine oncologist. They have a software program where they will be able to do all kinds of cross check the medicines and supplements.
Yeah.
So that's what we need, that keep to the science of that. That's important.
Thank you very much, Jane. The floor is open for any of our other holistic cancer coaches on the call that would like to add a piece in about the relation of iron and cancer and cancer cells. And if I see a hand from Catherine.
Thank you very much, Zach. I don't know anything about iron. That's a new one on me, okay? But I wanted to just reinforce what Jane has said about going to an integrative oncologist. It really is important to have someone who's coordinating your care between the medical side and the holistic side. Okay. The second thing is there are other things that are going on in there because I haven't been on when you have, Dave. So because I'm just kind of starting back again after a break. But I do know there are several things that are very good. Have you taken a look at mistletoe therapy? Now, mistletoe therapy does not stop cancer, but it really is very, very supportive in your immune system and helping to reestablish a good grounding in your health overall, especially with your immune system. And that's really important. And secondly, are you aware of the flaxseed study that has gone on, that was done originally by the University Health Network in Toronto? The men with prostate cancer, because of COVID, of course, couldn't get surgery, right? Without waiting 3, 4, 5 months. So they put these men on flaxseed muffins every day. And what they found for the men who had flaxseed, the study was those who got it and those who didn't, they found with all of the men that had taken those flaxseed muffins, actually there was a 50% reduction in the size of the tumors. There was a decrease in the activity of the DNA, which is really important because you want that. And also there's a 30% death rate of apoptosis of those cells, which is the death of those cancer cells. That is really significant. Now, just in case you want to wonder if that was a valid study, yes, it was not only done by the University of Toronto and carried out as a study, it was done again by Duke University. Actually, that may have been, I have to stop and think here. It was another one of your universities, okay? But also, besides that, it was also duplicated again by China, because China didn't think the Americans know anything, right? When it comes to medicine. And they all found, I think it was Cornell or Duke and China, all found the same result, and that is significant apoptosis, reduction of the size of the tumor, and decrease in the activity of the DNA within those cells. So think of that, because a flaxseed muffin every day, and also I did, I know for my husband, preventatively, I give him a flaxseed muffin every other day. I make them once a week, and I put in a combination with ground flaxseed as well as flaxseed oil. And you can put in a raisin bran muffin or carrot muffin, whatever you make. And I use applesauce to help moisturize it because of the extra powder from that flaxseed. And that's that applesauce made with fresh apples, no sugar in it. Just the apples cooked down. That's it. And a little bit of cinnamon for help with the inflammatory issues. But I really think I want you to also look at your health in relation to, are you eating well? Are you eating a good, healthy diet? And are you exercising too? Because those are critical points. And are you getting good rest? So maybe I can leave some of those questions with you. And Dave, can you answer some of those
Well,
questions? Or
that we're not going to get into a full analysis on Dave. Such would be suited to more so an intake questionnaire or private discussion. We have done so in the past, but we're going to stay on to the specific questions for the night. Thank you very much, Coach Catherine. We're going to head over to Coach Annette and then to Mr. Harmonious Monday, and then I see Ron's hand as well.
I just want to address Dave's question about iron and cancer. So it can go one of two ways. You can have high iron in your body that builds up, and then that creates oxidative stress. And then that can actually lead towards cancer, certain cancers. But there is also a new way that has been implemented in some forms of cancer care, which is apoptosis, which is iron-dependent form of programmed cell death. And so that has to be done specifically with a provider, because you have to make sure that you are using the exact things for your body, because if it goes one way or the other, it could not be good for you either. So you do need to make sure that you work with a practitioner that is very familiar with apoptosis and taking that direction in cancer care. But like I said, on the other end too, if you have too much iron in your body, it can lead to the oxidative stress, which could also lead to cancer. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's very important.
Thank you very much, Coach Annette. Annette, you seem to be having a bit of connection iffiness. I don't know if it's just the mic or the internet. We could hear you, but it was a little fuzzy there. But thank you very much for chiming in. Okay, I'd see Maya's hand. She is a coach, but I've been telling Monday we're gonna get to him for a while now. So let's go over to Harmonious Monday, and Maya, of course, we will get to you as always.
Thanks. I just want to say something that I've been saying a few times here in these meetings. It's totally appropriate, and it should be. I'm glad, actually, Zach, that you're making the calls that you're making, because this is, to me, about the coaches and the people who are here to learn from the coaches. And believe me, I respect that. You're always going to hear me talking fast and then giving it right back to the group. All I want to say about iron is that my understanding, just as a general thought, over 11, 13 years, however you want to count my involvement in this, it's one of those nutrients that we want to be not too much, not too little. Okay. You can get yourself in trouble with too much iron, and you don't want to go the other way, because iron is an important nutrient throughout the body in general. So that's my short, sweet contribution. And back to the group.
Fantastic. Thank you. As always, we respect your analytical mind, just like we respect everyone here. But yeah, I mean, great point. You know, too much of a good thing becomes too much, and not enough. Of course, you're not wanting to go that way either. I see a hand from Mr. Ron Belasco. Oh, you are muted.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. So I have actually two questions. And last week was super helpful, so thank you for everybody. I apparently didn't have my email address in until today, so I haven't really been able to follow up on some of what was offered to me from, I think, you, Jane, and others, but this was super helpful. My two questions. Number one, I think flaxseed, I've heard, is appropriate for other cancers. I happen to be dealing with CLL, SLL. So I'm wondering if anyone has any feedback about that in particular. And when you talked about the flaxseed muffins, I'm assuming that you're making them without sugar and you're using some sort of recipe that's only the apples and cinnamon, but I wonder if you could comment on that. And then second question, most of my numbers personally have been fairly stable, except my platelets, which are quite low, in the mid 80s at this point. And they've trended down, although the other numbers have been reasonably stable. I'm just wondering if there's anyone that can talk specifically about platelets and maybe some recommendations of what one might do to get those up, at least from a dietary point of view.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the question. Ron, I'm going to go to Maya so she can comment on the iron, which was the last topic, before we hop on to the platelets. When, not that they're, completely unrelated, but I just want to get Maya's thoughts on the previous topic before we move on to your question, Mr. Ron. Thank you very much for pitching it. Over to you, Maya.
Okay, about iron. Annette and Harmonious, they both are right about iron. Overload of iron is not good during cancer. It would fuel the cancer cells, give them energy, and it's synthesized in the DNA of cancer. That's another thing. That's mean it's going to promote cancer growth and metastasis if it's overload iron. There is people who have a low iron. I know people with cancer sometimes have a low iron, and the doctors do recommend taking iron. I personally never do recommend taking any iron supplements because the iron supplements, they come in the regular iron. The most bioavailable iron is a heme iron. It's HEME that our body absorbs. So you have to really know where you're getting your iron source from, and make sure they are more bioavailable, because when there's an active cancer, I would not go with any supplementation of iron unless it's heme iron. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the iron input there, Maya. And so now we'll open up the floor to the coaches for for Ron's question about platelets. And I see a hand from Jane. I see Catherine's as well. So over to you, Jane.
Ron, I want to answer 3 questions. One about flaxseed. Flaxseed is healthy in any kind of a diet to build your body up. So that's one of the ingredients of food as medicine, and often prescribed by Dr. Bazan, who's the integrative medicine doctor that I told you about before, and also Dr. Handley, who's integrative medicine specialist in your area. So, but now, as far as the muffins, and you're talking about applesauce, the other thing that you can use that's very sweet is monk fruit. And that has a sweet taste, so it kind of gets but it's 0 sugar calories. And the iron, when my husband had chronic myelogenous leukemia, his hematologist even when his iron was low, did not like to supplement iron, but Dr. Bazan had suggested farro food. So there are different things. Of course, whatever you're going to do, you've got to ask, your physician that you're working with. And as far as something for platelets, you can get that information through the integrative medicine specialist. And I say that because I was prescribed something for me, but that is such a delicate situation with someone who has leukemia that it's not something that we could guess at. That's got to come from a physician. And my biggest suggestion are the integrative medicine specialists that are in your area who work with the regular oncologists.
Thank you very much, Jane. And back to Catherine.
Thank you very much, Zach. I just wanted to comment on as a nurse and critical care nurse, one of the easiest things for any of your integrative oncologists or your own physicians do is to arrange for you to have platelet transfusions, and also the use of steroids, corticosteroids, are very, very useful in implementing and stimulating the production of steroids, of your platelets. But there's also side effects when you take corticosteroids too. But that's something that you might want to research and ask your doctor about and see what kind of combinations of things might be useful for you. I know, Maya, you're really up on blood platelet stuff too. So I think we should ask Maya what she thinks about that.
Thank you very much, Catherine. I see a hand from Maya as well, right on time. There you go.
Usually platelet counts goes low when people go through the therapies like chemotherapies, and drugs could cause platelets to go low. I don't know, Ron, what he's at with his treatments. So the main part is the nutrition deficiencies when it comes to platelet formation in our body. And those nutrients, usually B12 and folate is another one, copper is another one. I know body could get depleted in those, especially after the treatments. So getting proper nutrients that could increase, where you can increase your B12, the folate is another one. Getting them in most bioavailable form, which is a methylfolate, not folate or folic acid, methylated folate. So would be the thing. And the copper, zinc and copper deficiency also could affect the platelet formation. So just probably talking to your doctor and saying and changing your diet, adding stuff that could increase those nutrients in your body.
Thank you very much, Maya. Ron, do you have any follow-up? I see your hand going up right on time. Look at that. Oh, you are muted again, my friend. Let me ask you to unmute there.
Okay, sorry about that. So again, I don't want to go too far specific and waste people's time here, but so when I was first diagnosed, I was diagnosed by a local hematologist in New Jersey connected to Englewood Hospital. And of course, I've mostly worked and lived in the New York area. So I got connected to the head of the lymphoma department at Memorial Sloan Kettering. I had seen him a few times. And then I hired Glenn Sabin as a cancer coach specific to CLL because that was his condition or is his condition. He said to me, well, why would you see someone at MSK if you could see a specialist in CLL, SLL? And so I moved to Marianne Lamana at Columbia, who specializes in that. Now they have complementary medicine physicians there, but they're not. It's not an oncologist complementary medicine doctor. They treat them very specifically. The only time my doctor really ever said anything to me was at one point I was on turmeric, green tea, which she had no problem with. And then more recently, Glenn urged, and I started on cordyceps, the mushroom tea. But what I find, I guess, is the person who I consider my true primary, sorry for my dog in the back of it, but the person who I consider my primary cancer doctor is I feel like she's a very traditional doctor. I don't get the sense that nutrition and supplements are as much her thing, but she supposedly is one of the leaders in the field in CLL and SLL. So I'm trying to figure out how do I integrate her care with maybe another doctor who is more skilled or more trained in nutrition and more holistic care, I guess. And I apologize for the long question, statement, whatever.
No apologies needed, Ron. Of course, that's what we are here for. It's a question like that is difficult to answer because it's so dependent upon the particular players on the board or on the field, right? One practitioner to the next is not going to behave the same, and even, the most allopathic of practitioners, some of them are willing to hear of other things, and some don't want to hear it.
I apologize. I just wanted to add this in case it means anything, if anyone's going to comment, which is I'm totally in watch and wait. And other than low platelets, my numbers are fairly stable. So it's just the platelet number that's concerning right now. And I believe, Catherine, you mentioned it. They did talk a little bit about the possibility of a program of steroids. And I think what they said is apparently I'm making enough, possibly I'm making enough cells, but somehow they're not sticking around.
And maybe something like you could also talk to them about vitamin K in combination with B12. That's often done.
I had actually at one point gotten B12 that had K with it. It was like a multi, and the only thing I take right now is D3 and B12. And I just wanted to ask, because I just don't know, is folate is something you normally get from dairy, correct? Someone mentioned folate?
Folate, I mentioned folate. You can get it from red meat, but not from dairy has good level of K2. But during cancer, I don't usually recommend dairy.
I'm off all sugar. I'm off dairy.
Well,
I try to eat organic 95% of the time. I try to do it 100%. I achieve probably 95%. And I'm primarily plant-based. I will eat eggs that are pasture raised, organic, and I will occasionally have a piece of poultry, but large, and occasionally some wild caught fish. But other than that, I try to be plant-based as much as possible.
The people who are on plant-based, they tend to have a B12 deficiency, folate deficiency, and a copper deficiency. So because plants does not contain folate. Eggs are a good source of folate. B12 also, eggs are a good source of B12. But if you're on B12, you have to know which kind of B12 you're on. It has to be methylcobalamin or the other form, not cyanocobalamin, because cyan is a synthetic form. So folate, there might be two reasons you might be deficient in folate. One, you don't get the source from your diet. That's number one. Number two, you might have digestive issues that does not break down. Your hydrochloric acid in your stomach might be low, that not isolate protein from folate from protein, and it does not absorb. That's number two.
Yeah.
And number three, you might have an MTHFR gene mutation that does not methylate folate.
Okay. I was just asking about folate. I'm not aware of me being low on folate. I was just asking about it.
Oh, yeah. But folate plays a role in formation of platelets.
Oh, so low folate could cause low platelet level.
Yes.
And I was not aware of the different types of vitamin B12.
Yeah.
Will this all be in a transcript that we'll get after tonight? Is that right?
The video in recording form will be on YouTube and Rumble and X.com. So you can watch back the replay. We don't post the word for word transcript, but the replay is available. Awesome. Anything more we can do for you, Ron, at this time?
Actually, Ron, can I just comment on, I'm seeing a hematologist as well because I have a blood dyscrasia, and I do take folate, 20 milligrams a day, and that also helps with nerve transmission too. So it's actually good for you. But something else you might, when you're, because you're doing a heavy diet, that's whole, make sure you're getting lots of dark leafy vegetables like the kale and the peas and the beans and the nuts and the seeds. So yeah, you're already doing that. You're shaking your head and you're nodding yes, great, because those are the ones that are rich in folate.
And I
Okay.
know it matters. This is a non-dairy thing, but like I'm doing acupuncture and doing, also some talk therapy because I, want to make sure if I've got blockages or stress or other, like I'm trying to do a full court press on this thing because I want to be one of those third of the people that have what I have, that it never progresses. I'd like to try to I'd like to be in that 1/3.
You know what? Something I can suggest to you is because I'm a Reiki master, is that I do a lot of work on people with immune system issues, and I do a lot of Reiki on the abdomen. And 75% of the lymph nodes are in your abdomen. Okay, and those lymph nodes are responsible for the production of all your of really all your immune system components. Okay,
I didn't
so
that.
look at Reiki as well.
Catherine, are you in the Philadelphia area?
No, unfortunately, I'm in Canada.
Awesome. I see hands from Jane and then Annette. Oh, Catherine, did you have a last minute
No.
thing? Over to Jane.
Okay. Integrated energy therapy is also a way to go. I live in New Jersey and I do integrated energy therapy if you're interested in that. But I wanted to ask you a question about microwaves. Are you using microwaves at all, Ron?
0.
Good. Okay, that's
I
great.
mean, I will say this. I've used them in my lifetime, of course, but since all this happened, forget about it. Nothing.
Great. That's great. And one of the things, I've been with Beat Cancer since 1982. And one of the things that I admire so much is to open the world of choices. And I want you to really know that you have the ability, you have the right to make your choices. So if you want to pick an integrative medicine doctor who is going to work hand in hand with your regular oncologist, then you find that person. If you want to find the oncologist who will work for integrative medicine, it's like you're putting a compatibility together, but you're in control, and you have the right to do that.
I really like this physician from Columbia, but in talking to her, you know, I feel like she's very traditional and not necessarily so focused on other complementary therapies I can do.
Yes, you can't expect her to be. You need the other piece. You need the integrative medicine doctor piece that will work with her. So you have both the best of both worlds together. Okay, that's what I would suggest to you. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Over to Annette.
Just one thing I want to mention, because I don't think we really have talked about it much, but even if you are putting in, implementing all these other things, nutrition-wise or supplement-wise, just always making sure that there's not anything else underlying that's causing other further issues. A lot of times when we're going through cancer and cancer treatments anyways, our bodies are super inflamed. And so what you might have underlying, like as an autoimmune issue, if that were to happen, that's also going to flare. So making sure that you're balancing all of it and then addressing it all appropriately. For example, I just can think of like diabetes. It's just the same thing, making sure that your blood sugars are all the same, and within normal levels, and you're doing really well. And so just making sure that your doctors are checking for those things too, especially if you're just having one-off symptoms. Sometimes there's genetic conditions that can cause issues too. So just making sure that everything is being looked at. And that there might not be something else that you might need to add in, and making sure that you address those.
I appreciate that. Actually, since I started this pretty rigorous diet with organic and everything, I've lost something like 24, 25 pounds. I stopped taking my blood pressure medicine. I've had my doctor say to me, if I didn't know of your diagnosis, I would say you look better than you have ever, really. So, and I'm at a weight now that I don't think I've weighed in 30 years. So.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Very good.
One thing I can suggest is, and that's whether it be Dave or Ron, whoever, when you're making changes, please, whether it's medically or with an integrative physician, always journalize, listen to your body. So as you're making those changes, and make sure they're incremental so you can distinguish effects, because you want to be able to take those affects and really clearly understand whether they were beneficial and did it really help you. Okay, so try not to overload all those changes, because then it's hard to demarcate which one was actually the one that was causing the dis-ease or the improvement in your condition. So make sure you document and diarize, because it really makes a difference. This is where you can take control in what you're doing by clearly documenting, asking appropriate questions, coming to forums like this so that you can get a combination of different suggestions and answers for that you can research. So
Great additions, Coach Catherine. Thank you very much. I also want to give a quick shout out to all of our friends in the chat who have been typing in comments on the Zoom chat. Thank you to our coaches for addressing them there. We don't always have time to cover every single thing that someone wants to mention on the audio of the call, but the Zoom chat is a great way to go back and forth with our coaches live at the same time. So for anyone not on the Zoom, there is some additional value, if you could believe it or not, that you miss out on not being here with us. But for our friends that aren't specifically with us, we do have some some comments coming in on Facebook. So we had a friend, David, ask a question. Let me just pull it up here. If he's still watching the recording, this question was from some time ago. He wanted to know, what do you think of hydrogen inhalation and hydrogen water? very hot topic. You know, anytime that we go to a cancer conference, there's usually at least one hydrogen related booth and demonstration where you can do both of those things. Inhale the hydrogen, drink the hydrogen water. I've done both of them. I'm not extremely versed on the topic, so I will turn it over to our coaches that might have thoughts on hydrogen therapy via inhalation or hydrogen water. Open to any of our coaches. And I know this might not be an area of our coaches' specialties. That's okay. So if we don't have specific, an answer right now, that's, sometimes it just is what it is. We know a lot, but we can't know everything all the time. But we'll open it up to non-coaches as well. If there's any participants on the call that have thoughts on hydrogen therapy, not just for coaches. We welcome everyone's thoughts who might have them. And if not, then I'm very sorry, Mr. David. We have room to grow, it looks like. Going once, going twice, and there it is. So we might, we welcome you to pitch the topic in the future. Perhaps someone will have learned something by then to be able to share or dug up some resources. You never know. But thank you for dropping the comment. If you'd email support@BeatCancer.org, perhaps we can dig up some resources for you, even if it's as simple as forwarding you along to some of the vendors at the conferences we attend that speak about hydrogen. So I welcome you to do that, and we will do our best to get you the answers that you are looking for. We have another comment on Facebook. Miss Debeline says, "Greetings, everyone. I am 23 years old and I have stage 4 aggressive cancerous brain tumor. I'm starting my treatment for the cancer on Monday, and I'm very anxious because I'm not sure how the treatment is going to respond to my body. Do you have any advice for me?" Very broad question. Of course, we understand what you're going through. Many of our coaches are thrivers and survivors themselves. The first thing to know, of course, is that there is hope no matter what circumstances you're in. Surely there are individuals that have faced those circumstances and came out the better side, healthy and happy. So you're doing the right thing by seeking answers and seeking assistance from circles like this. As a reminder, if you were not at the beginning of the call, this is a general and, of course, a public call where we can answer some questions, but for a more in-depth guidance experience, I do welcome you to follow up with anyone on the call that you see has the Holistic Cancer Coach name. Or, you can, of course, email us at support@BeatCancer, and we'll connect you with anyone that way as well. So I will open it up to our panel. If they have any thoughts, again, this is a broad comment, but if there's any advice, let's hear it. Coaches, thank you. I see a hand from Catherine. Thank you, Coach Catherine.
Hey, Zach, that's a really difficult diagnosis, and our hearts and our prayers are with you. Number one, don't stress about it. One of the most important things you can ever do for yourself is take the time to get those happy hormones working for you. Those the endorphins. Go for walks in nature, do the things you love, the oxytocin, the serotonins from the sun and the food you eat, whatever you use, all those dopaminergic activities. So when you're with people, whenever you do things to help others. I know this is a difficult diagnosis, but look up those happy hormones and love the life you live, love the life you lead. Take the time to enjoy the life you have and do everything you can to be gracious and gratitude, move forward, be thankful, and you know what? Feel good about what you're doing in making changes in your life to help yourself. Don't take "you're going to die in 6 months" as an answer from anybody. You decide when things are difficult. You help yourself. When you take control, you're going to feel better about yourself. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Coach Catherine. Over to Coach Maya.
Hey, first of all, I'm sorry about your diagnosis. What I would like to tell you is I always tell my clients, like, your thoughts could kill you or your thoughts could heal you. You always have to be, even though if you're going for a chemotherapy, let's say it's a poisonous substance that goes into your body, but if you think of the way that is the only thing that is going to cure you, then that's going to cure you. So you have to, even knowing that there might be some side effects or not, you have to think of the way that that's the only thing that is helping you and be grateful for that, and that would be, I think, my biggest recommendation to give to someone. And it's like a placebo effect. If you trust and you believe, even the worst thing on the planet could become your friend. So that would be my recommendation to you. And of course, come back and join and ask more questions and find someone you can work with when it comes to nutrition and other lifestyle, changes and modifications that is also going to help you. But your mindset is something that I would highly recommend you to stay positive on. It's hard, but you got to build yourself to that. It's not easy, especially as most of us been through cancer, and we know how does it feel going through cancer and being afraid. But don't let the fear go hand on hand with your mind. It cannot be your friend at all. So your positive mindset would be something that would take you to the next level.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach Maya. Over to Coach Jane.
One thing I want to share with you about a lifespan. If someone says you have 3 months to live, you have 6 months to live, you have whatever. If you ask the doctor, then again, we're all about choices. Then that's your choice. But when those predictions come, they become a hypnotic suggestion. And you have the right, if you so choose, to say to the doctor, as I did with my husband, unless you have a note signed by God, I don't want to hear it. Because they did with my previous husband, and he really was so affected by that timing. So unless it's something you want to know, and that's fine if you ask the doctor, but you also have the right to say, you don't know. You are not God. You don't have unless you have a signed note by God, unless I could see if a person is not being compliant and they're not serious about it, then that's a different story. But it's just a suggestion to run your emotional medical care the way you want it to be.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Coach Jane. And I see a hand from Coach Annette.
So just first off, I am so sorry to hear about your diagnosis and what you're going through. Just know that you're not alone, though. You have all of us. You can reach out to us. We do have our Facebook group that you can become a part of. And if you have questions in there, there's members that answer questions. And then we also chime in as coaches as well, too. So just know that you are supported and you aren't alone at this time. And like the other coaches were saying, really, it's just accepting that you have this diagnosis, but not the prognosis, and going in with that mindset. They might be saying this, but they don't know for sure. They don't know everything. And then just having that mindset of not accepting that prognosis. As far as getting ready for getting treatment, making sure that you're hydrated, adequately hydrated, make sure that you stay within those requirements of what your provider has suggested for you. Some people have water restrictions, and so you'll just need to make sure that what you do take in is safe for you. And making sure that you do have enough electrolytes in as well. Making sure that you're resting and you're being kind to yourself. Do things that are going to help decrease your stress level. So any kind of self-care that you can, do something that you love, laugh with people if you can, spend time with your loved ones, friends, pets. Just try to get that love and support in, and it'll help get you through those things. But then just also making sure too that you're really looking at your diet, making sure that you're trying to get away from, as many toxic foods as you can, ultra processed foods, getting rid of those, cleaning up any other toxins in your life that you can get out of the way too. And so yeah, just making sure that your immune system's up and and ready to be able to take your journey ahead as you're deciding to go this route. So, and just like you said again, you're not alone. We're here for you. You can ask us, questions in the group. There's always the calls too. And then on our website, we have so many blog posts and tons of information. So you can go and dive in there and, on your downtime and read through things. And just know that there is hope and there's so much information out there.
Thank you very much for that addition, Coach Annette. I just want to give a quick recognition to our friend Joy on Facebook, who is offering a lot of great information and perspective and words of support in the Facebook comments. So I see you, Joy, and thank you very much for your participation. With that, I see a hand from Amy on the call here.
Hi. Hey, everybody. Thank you. You guys are awesome with your information. I just want to encourage that I've been through a lot, and I laid in a hospital bed for a month and I couldn't move. I had 3 spinal infections in 97, and the progress was I may or may not walk again. I laid in bed and I watched the Olympic athletes on TV, and I visualized myself, and I got out of that bed finally, and I kept passing out after a month. And you have to be unstoppable with your attitude. Environment is everything. Eating healthy is everything. And recently I cracked my hip, and 6 weeks later, I knew I would be back on my bicycle. I waited until 8 weeks ago, but 6 weeks after, I was off my walker. And all I could say is I made myself walk in nature with my walker. It was painful, but I surrounded myself with high vibrations. I didn't sit on the pity pot. I kindly listened to my doctors, but I didn't take medications or painkillers. My diet was super duper nutrient dense, and I just fed myself affirmations. Anytime I got around negative thinking, I had a list of positive things I could go do. And literally 6 weeks, I was off that walker and feeling pretty darn good. 8 weeks on my bicycle. It was amazing, because most people say, you're not going to be back on your bike, forget it, retire it. And I cannot say enough, environment, environment, environment. Find people that are high vibe and walk away from anything that drags you down, because it's huge, along with food and, doing the right things. So just listen to your heart. You're going to do great.
Thank you very much for that addition, Amy. Fantastic words, as always. So that does bring us right about to the top of the hour, my friends. If there's any last minute topics or questions, something that you really want to have answered at the moment, I will take one last topic or question. Other than that, we will conclude. So I'll go let that go once. Let it go twice. And that is a wrap. Thank you, everyone, coaches, friends, participants, students, future coaches, whomever you are watching this and joining us in the conversation, or just being a fly on the wall. We welcome you. We thank you. We love you. We support you. That is what we're here for. Please do join us next week and the week after that, as we meet here every Thursday evening at the same time, same place, to answer your questions, get you the support you need, connect you with where you're looking to go, and help you see a healthier, happier tomorrow. As a reminder, for anyone catching the replay or watching on the social media channels, you are welcome to join us on the Zoom itself. You can find the link to do so by going to BeatCancer.org and clicking on the weekly call button, which will be right at the top of your screen. This is a free to attend, free to participate, participation welcomed, encouraged, but not mandatory. free community call. So thank you for coming out. Hope everyone has a wonderful evening, a wonderful rest of your week, and we hope to see you next time. Till
And
next time.
thank you, Zach.
Fun.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Night.